Welcome everyone to this week's New Money. I'm Tracy Chang. Feeling bogged down by house chores? Well, you aren't alone. Who has time for things such as doing the laundry given our busy schedule anyways? But the good news is that with the internet and online to offline offerings, you will never have to worry about doing those chores again.
Like many other young people, Xie Guosheng has a problem that haunts his busy everyday life: laundry. He often has to work overtime at the media company he runs in Beijing, and by the end of the week, his apartment floor is covered with dirty clothes.
I can use the washing machine for smaller clothes in summer, but when it piles up, it takes a lot of time to clean all of it. Especially in winter, if my down jackets or coats get dirty, I have to go to a dry cleaner.
But life has been much easier for him since he found out about Jingxi, an O2O on-demand washing service.
I saw an advertising event for their company, and I thought that a company that can help working people like me clean our clothes would be a great help. So I subscribed to their public account.
With the help of this online service, the tedious chore of cleaning clothes for an upcoming work trip to Guangzhou in South China is now very easy. Xie Guosheng simply places an order through WeChat. One of the washing company's delivery boys then comes to pick up his dirty clothes.
I pick up laundry from around 8 a.m. to around 10 p.m. I pick up around 30 orders every day.
Li Xianhui moved to Beijing from northeast China less than 2 years ago. He knows the capital like the back of his own hand after working there as a food delivery boy. Li Xianhui became a delivery boy for Jingxi half a year ago. He finds the work hard, but rewarding.
It gets busier as the weather gets colder. I like this job a lot. If the company keeps developing, we'll make more money as well. I'd be thrilled to keep working in this company for a long time.
Entrepreneurs have transformed this household burden into a big business. Liang Guigang is not yet in his 30s. He launched Jingxi in October 2014 to take part in this small revolution.
I chose O2O laundry mainly because I recognized a problem in the traditional industry. Firstly, it's inconvenient to the consumer, and it's usually also rather expensive. Dry cleaners also have a high profit margin. So I realized that the biggest advantage of an online laundry service would be that it's convenient to the consumer. For instance, they won't have to drive around to look for a dry cleaner or figure out when it's open. Online dry cleaners should be able to provide service 24 hours every day. Once you have this, the consumers will begin to adapt and change their laundry habits.
By August 2015, Jingxi's service has been online for less than a year, yet it has almost 50,000 users placing around 300 orders every day. Although the company is still small in the O2O laundry business, the current business environment seems to carry a promise of continued growth.
And folks, just a reminder, you can use your smartphone to scan the QR code on the bottom of your screen to find the latest and all previous episodes of New Money. And to begin today's discussion, Professor Jia Ning joins me in the studio, and she is the Deputy Director at the China Business Case Center at Tsinghua University. So thank you so much for joining us today, Professor Jia.
Thanks,
so let me ask you this question. The O2O business model seems to be penetrating all areas of basically the services sector, but what are some of the best areas for this business to go in?
Right. Right. Well, you're absolutely right, Tracy. I think O2O has become a hot buzzword, in the Chinese market, especially in the last several years. And if you look at the Internet Plus strategy, right, that aims to integrate Internet with traditional sectors,
right.
the Internet, especially Internet companies, are basically penetrating and revamping all traditional sectors, including the service area.
Right.
And the laundry business that we're talking about today is actually a subsector, right, in that sense. And there are many different kinds of O2O service out there, and I think we can classify them using a two-dimensional matrix. So what we're looking at here is a classification of all different kinds of O2O services, and the x-axis is actually frequency, and the y-axis here is price. Right? So the first wave of O2O service in China pretty much all started with high frequency but low price service, and this is because if the service is of high frequency, then you can easily accumulate a large user base quickly, right, and establish that scale effect. But now what we're seeing is the O2O service has gradually moved up towards the upper left quarter, which is higher price but lower frequency. So we're looking at healthcare, for example. That's a classic example of low frequency but high price service. Right? So there are many different kinds of O2O services out there.
I see. And this laundry service fits somewhere probably right in the middle.
You're exactly right, Tracy. It's right in the middle. So I think laundry service is one of those services that has sort of medium price but medium frequency.
I see. Right. So Professor Jia, what kind of problems does this laundry O2O business actually solve?
Well, if you look at the traditional, offline laundry service, I think it has a number of issues. So the first one is actually a drop-off and pickup, in the sense that you have to basically go to the laundry service and drop off the items, and sometimes you have to pick them up yourself, right? So this is considered a pain point, so to speak, right? From user perspective. And a second challenge is limited after-hour service, right? These traditional offline laundry, dry cleaners, they usually close after 8 p.m. And those people who work late, it's just not convenient for them to, pick up their laundries that late. And these people are typically young people, right? And they're actually the main users of dry cleaning service. Exactly, right? And the related pain point, actually, the third one is a Prepay membership. And this is speaking from personal experience. That is, when you sign up for a dry cleaning service, usually you're asked to buy a membership card, right? You basically put 300 RMB into it. But my personal experience has been that before I use up all the money in the card, the laundry service has already gone out of business, and there's no way you can get the money back, right? And this is actually another so-called pain point from a user experience. So I think O2O service, laundry service is able to at least change and resolve some of these issues.
I see. So, Professor Jia, this business has very low barrier to entry. So how do these companies fight over market share?
That's a great question, Tracy. I think currently the players in the market are basically using the venture capital money to aggressively subsidizing users as a way to acquire users and also cultivate new user habit. But we know that continue to subsidize users is not a sustainable model or approach in the long run, right? So the question is, once the subsidy stops, well, what is your core competitive advantage that will allow you to continue to attract and retain existing users, right? And when it comes to service sector, I think at the end of the day, it's the service quality and the convenience level that's the most important.
That's right. So they really have to think about ways to keep these users, right?
That's right. And enhance their service quality, I think.
Right. Well, folks, low barrier to entry means intense competition. We'll take a look at O2O Laundry's competitors when we return. Welcome back, folks. O2O Laundry Service has many competitors, but not all of them operate by the same business model. Let's take a look.
New O2O companies face bigger challenges than simply providing quick and convenient service and finding out what services are in demand. In order to improve service quality, Liang Guigang had to spend a lot of time developing the offline part of his business.
因为做干洗嘛，做干洗这方面的话，它的核心还在于洗涤。
When you're in dry cleaning, you rely entirely on the quality of the cleaning. So there's no way we'll work with other dry cleaners, because it would be hard to guarantee quality, and they vary widely in terms of skill level. So we chose to look at standardized modern cleaning sites that are completely automatic. There are around 20 of them in places around Beijing, like Tongzhou and Daxing. In the end, we chose 3 of them, that do good work and have skilled workers that have been doing this for over 15 years. This way, we solved the first challenge, which was quality. Our second challenge was logistics. We built our own logistics system. We run our own logistics because if you make others do it, it's hard to manage. For instance, their delivery boys might dirty the customer's clothes or ruin them. All of those things. So to avoid this, we invested a lot of energy into making a strict training program for our own delivery team.
Jingxi has chosen a large dry cleaner in Daxing, in Beijing's southern suburbs, as its main laundry site. The area is home to several large dry cleaners, a remnant from earlier requirements of the industry. Now, those traditional businesses are seeing a large influx of orders from new internet companies. This cooperation fits their needs perfectly.
Jingxi sends us a lot of orders, around 300 every day. That's a pretty ideal amount, but it's about to increase because people will need to clean more clothes as winter approaches.
Large automated laundry sites provide Jingxi with a large capacity and guarantee that the quality of their work will be up to their standards.
Right now, it seems that the users are pretty happy with our work. Jingxi keeps a close eye on the quality of our work, so we have no choice but to make sure the clothes are sparkling clean when we send them out.
This means people can receive excellent cleaning services without ever leaving the comfort of their homes, while the dry cleaners are able to reduce cost by expanding their reach. This reduction in turn benefits the end users, as it drives down the price for each round of laundry.
A traditional dry cleaner isn't very efficient. It services a radius of maybe 2 to 3 kilometers, which means it has a limited user base, maybe 1 or 2 orders on a slow day, or up to 100 on a good one. The fact that it covers such a small area means that it has a surplus capacity. An O2O service will gather all the demand in an area and send the orders to one site or one specific dry cleaner that they cooperate with. That way, one dry cleaner is able to maintain maybe 300 orders every day, increasing its efficiency and making full use of its capacity.
Exploiting idle capacity in the industry and reducing cost is one of the advantages of Internet Plus. But O2O laundry companies also have to make sure their products are well received by their users.
In the future, people will prefer simple solutions. When we do things at Jingxi, we don't think of ourselves as a company, but look at things from the consumer's point of view. That is, what kind of problems will we encounter? Like, is this procedure easy to go through? Will I be able to get my laundry sent away in just 2 or 3 steps? We're going to have to create this kind of simple procedures, and we need to hide a lot of the procedures so that the consumer only needs to interact with the simple stuff.
O2O companies might spend a lot of time attracting traffic to their services, but without a good user experience, it is hard to make these visitors stay and become loyal customers. This is where the real challenge lies.
So Professor Jia, not all of these businesses work the same way. So some companies like Jingxi, they build their own laundry sites, and companies like Rongchang actually partner up with other laundry sites to deliver this kind of service. What are the pros and cons for these two different models?
Well, I think the single most important advantage if you operate your own laundry site is you have more control over the entire service chain, right? So you can basically centrally manage a lot of things. But the downside, of course, is you have to invest more into upfront in terms of setting up the facilities. And the other model you mentioned, which is partner with
other laundry sites,
vendors, right? Well, the advantage is, well, basically you can outsource some of the work, but the downside is there are implicit costs in terms of coordination, in terms of management. So you have less say in terms of how you want to operate the entire service.
And you have less control of the service quality as well.
Exactly, that's right.
So, Professor Jia, tell me, what are some of the most important logistics and also internal management setups we have to support this O2O business?
Right. Well, so for O2O laundry, I think the most important thing is the second O, which is actually the offline service, especially service efficiency as well as qualities, right? So let's actually take a look at this entire service flow. From a user perspective, one of the things you have to do is you have to place the order, right? And then basically the laundry service will, the staff will come to your door and pick up the laundry, and they have to bring the laundry back to their stores, sort them, and then clean them, and then they have to basically deliver the laundry back to you, right? If you look at the entire service flow, as users, you want the service flow to be as simple and easy for them as possible. So basically, you only want them to participate in 2 steps, which is placing orders and receive the laundry after it's been cleaned, right? But to support that simple flow from a user perspective, you need a very strong and efficient internal management logistics system. Right? And you can imagine, the back office, so all these steps are a lot more complicated, and especially as the business expands, as the number of orders increase, it's going to be very demanding on the company's internal management, right, in terms of timely delivery of all these laundries.
But Professor Jia, how easy it is for traditional dry clean business to actually go O2O?
That's a great question, Tracy. I think it's going to be quite challenging for 2 reasons. One is the fact that traditional business generally lacks so-called internet gene and as well as the internet talents. And this is not just a challenge facing laundry sector. This is actually a common challenge facing all traditional sectors. If you look at TV sector, for example, all these traditional players are now trying to tap into online space and produce smart TVs, right? But the transition, as we're seeing, is actually very slow as of today. So there are still many challenges. And the second reason why it's hard for the traditional offline laundry companies to go online is because a lot of them actually are they're chain stores, but they're using franchise model, right? And each stores are relatively independent in that sense. So it's going to be hard to basically pull all the resources together and try to manage the operation in a central way.
I see. Well, folks, a great business model is key to success. Innovation is also vital to the business survival. Let's look at some of the innovations in this industry when we return. Welcome back. Well, the online to offline service sector is flourishing, but not all businesses are created equal.
A report released by market research company Bosi Shidian shows that the O2O laundry market was 20 billion RMB in 2000. In 2015, it had already expanded to 100 billion RMB, or roughly $16 billion US dollars.
O2O services, and particularly vertical O2O services, have a value chain. They're not like traditional businesses, which make money from whatever specific services they provide. O2O laundry companies focus on the entire value chain and would struggle if they relied on laundry alone, so they divide the laundry value chain into several different links. Each of these links provides an opportunity for profit. For instance, clothes, equipment, logistics, and so on. They can make money from all of these links.
The attraction of a large and promising market in turn requires clear-headed leadership in the startups that choose to enter it. The modest Liang Guigang has his views on how to deal with the market.
My biggest dream is to attract more talent, both technical and management people, that can join our team. I want a core team of cute and top-of-the-bunch people, because they are the ones that will have to work the hardest. Only that way will we be able to turn this company into a strong, top international brand.
The O2O industry, with its fast development, service quality, competition, and integrated value chains, is still young and faces many problems. This makes investment even more important to companies that wish to develop fast.
There are 2 big challenges. One is finding talent, and the other is finding capital. Because when it comes to talent, no matter how big your business is, you will always need lots of human talent. Besides, once you've secured talent, it's important to take care of them, to manage them well. Whether we're talking about management level, operations, or delivery boys, talent management is a very difficult thing to do well. As for finding capital, if you want to be able to provide a quality product, you'll have to strengthen your internal system. Once you get that far, you will need money to take care of that. That's why Jingxi is currently entering its first round of investment.
While investment and expansion are common issues, the O2O laundry industry is still in the process of deciding how a company should grow to achieve the best results. As providers of services, it's hard for O2O companies to standardize, and too quick an expansion might cause service quality to suffer.
First, they shouldn't go head-to-head with the industry leaders. If they do, they're more or less done for. Second, they should specialize. Most of the big opportunities are already taken. Third, I suggest focusing on B2B, services toward other businesses. If they only focus on C2C, they'll be in an already saturated market.
Companies might have to choose between rapid development and quality. On the internet, the focus often is on speed and scale. Quality could be what makes or breaks a company in the service industry, especially in an already saturated market.
Professor Zhao, we talked so much about competition. What's the current competitive landscape of O2O laundry?
Well, I think this market has already transitioned from a blue ocean, so to speak, now to a red ocean.
Right.
I think my prediction is in the next few years, we will be seeing several leaders emerging in the market. In fact, if you look at the recent fundraising activities of players in this market, several of them actually have already secured significant venture capital financing from companies like Baidu, Tencent, or Matrix. And these are the leading players either in the internet world or in the venture capital space, right? So those companies that has already secured these venture capital funding, I think for them, it's going to be relatively easy to burn that money and acquire market share, right? And then basically defeat competition. And we're also seeing similar trend in sectors like food delivery, right? So we're already seeing winners like Meituan and Ele.me. These are the two big guys in the sector. So I think the same trend is going to happen in O2O laundry as well. So in the next several years, I think only several leading ones will survive. And basically, the smaller ones will either go out of business or become acquired by these large players.
So we're expecting lots of consolidation to happen.
I think so, yes.
Professor Zhao, we talked about all these businesses are recruiting, raising money from all these venture capitals, but everybody spends these money differently. What are the best ways to spend VC money at this point for these businesses?
Right, Tracy. I think O2O laundry is a sector where the entry barrier is relatively low, right? So basically, you have to establish a strong foothold in the market as soon as possible, and the capital will enable you to do that. So I think this is a market where winner has it all, right? So from what we're seeing, once the company raised venture capital money, it's being used for several purposes. One is to continue to acquire users, so user acquisition, right? You continue to subsidize users for changing their old habit and for them to use your service. And the second direction is geographic expansion. So some of these laundry services, they started in the first-tier city like Beijing and Shanghai and Guangzhou, and now they're thinking about expanding into second, third-tier cities in China. So the geographic expansion will require additional capital investment going into it.
I see.
And the third potential direction is to enhance service quality with the money that you raised, right? As we talked about, the service quality is very important for these O2O service business. So you need to improve, for example, the IT's logistics to support the entire operations.
I see.
Right? And the fourth one, I think, is to use that money to recruit more talents. This is actually a common challenge facing all internet-based companies. How do you recruit the right talent? And I think that's actually very important.
Even for big companies like Apple and Google, these tech companies, they would still have to fight over talents.
That's right. And if you look at, for example, people now are talking about unicorn companies, right? So even these companies, they are being challenged in terms of recruiting new talents, and they're also worried about losing their existing talents because they're there are smaller companies who are also trying to so-called steal, the talents from these unicorn companies. So it's interesting to see how the labor market and the talent pool is evolving over time.
That's right, and all the unicorn companies basically started as a small and no-name company, right?
That's right.
Professor Jia, can you comment on some of the innovations happening in this industry?
Sure. I mean, this O2O laundry is sort of a niche market or niche sector, but it doesn't mean that we cannot find creative ways to revamp how the service is delivered. So let me give you one example, which is one of the leading companies in the sector, Rongchang Yidaixi. The company basically has revamped the way they price their service. Right? It used to be the case that dry cleaners charge customers by number of items. Right? One shirt is 25 RMB, dresses like 50 RMB or something like that. But what Rongchang Yidaixi is doing is they charge by volume. Basically, it's 99 RMB per bag. So they give you a bag, and then regardless of how many items you can put in that bag, it's 99 RMB, right? And this approach is quite interesting, actually. It has two major advantages. One is it reduces price, right? And the second, and also it's standardized the price as well. And the second advantage is it reduces significantly the pickup time, right? So your staff, they don't have to stay with the customer and count through the number of items.
You don't sort it anymore. You just stuff it in a bag.
Exactly, and bring it back to the store, and then you sort it. Right? So this basically makes the service nice and easy for the customer.
Oh, these are very smart and interesting innovations.
Very cute, right? Yes.
Well, thank you so much for all your insights analysis today, Professor Zhao.
Yeah, thanks, Tracy.
Well, folks, specialization is a major shift for many of the world's urban dwellers. The internet has sped up the specialization process, and O2O business have allowed people to spend more time doing just the things they would like to do. Well, folks, do follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to share your thoughts. And if you have an interesting business case to tell, please to make sure you email us at newmoney@cctv.com. Thank you so much for joining us this week on New Money. We'll see you again at the same time next week.